Hello, friends. Sometimes while researching an episode, I come across a topic so baffling that it cannot be contained within my normal notes. These observations are collected in a folder labeled The Cryptid Is Concerned. Incident Report 001 began when I discovered online a ritual involving a doll, human DNA, and what I can only describe as a catastrophic, diabolical lack of foresight. Hey everyone, welcome back to Lo-Fi Apocrypha, where we talk about things that aren't that deep until they actually are. I'm your host, Mom Chalant, and today, I'd like to begin by stating that we strive to approach every culture, tradition, and belief system with curiosity, nuance, and respect. And yet today I have encountered material that is testing this commitment. Today we're discussing rituals of the paranormal variety, the type that runs the gamut between summonings and games, the type that history has repeatedly told humans to get it together and knock it off. But nobody listens, it would appear, especially online. Here are the three main suspects for today's lineup: the elevator game, Bloody Mary, and One Man Hide and Seek, featuring humanity's seemingly unstoppable desire to open doors that may or may not contain consequences. Chapter 1. What is the appeal? Before we begin, I want to make something clear. Disclaimers are very important to me. This is not an episode about whether ghosts are real. It's not an episode about proving or disproving the supernatural. That is never a debate that you'll hear me start. Because honestly, that isn't the question keeping me awake at night. The question that bugs me is, why are you summoning that? What exactly is the objective here? Have we written up a cost-to-benefit analysis? What did the focus group say about it? Did you run this by the board of directors? What are the credentials of the members of this board? Who okayed this project? Because I'd like to have a word with them at their soonest inconvenience. Chapter 2. Benign Masochism. So during my research, I stumbled upon this term that I've never heard before. It's a useful biological jargon called benign masochism, courtesy of one psychologist, Paul Rosen. The idea is pretty simple. Humans sometimes enjoy experiences that are unpleasant, frightening, or uncomfortable when they know they're fundamentally safe. Here's a couple of examples. Think roller coasters, horror movies, spicy foods, ice baths, spelunking. It's the realization that the ouch isn't really going to kill you that triggers a pleasurable, thrilling rush, and then the discomfort becomes part of the reward. You experience fear, but in a controlled environment. You experience pain, but without genuine danger. The ride ends, you go home, end of story. The roller coaster, the haunted house, they stay at the amusement park when you drive away. There is little to no residual shock that lingers in your mind and festers there further down the road. It probably won't bother you at 2 a.m. when you get up to use the toilet. Chapter 3. Risk isn't always foolish. And to be fair, the whole concept of benign masochism, not all risk-taking is irrational. I want to make that clear. Human progress often requires risk, if not always. Revolutionaries fought battles, explorers crossed oceans, scientists tested dangerous theories, inventors failed repeatedly. Some risks gave us medicine, some risks gave us knowledge, some risks fundamentally changed the world as we know it. Discomfort was a cost, and the accomplishment of a goal was the reward. And that makes sense from all angles. I support that, and Concerned Cryptid approves. What I do not support is volunteering one's mental stability, which, let's be real, isn't much for any of us in 2026. You're volunteering your mental stability and peace of mind simply for the vibes. Because personally, I'm not interested in freaking out at 2 a.m. when I need to go to the toilet, wondering if something is following me. Absolutely not. Are you kidding me? Chapter 4. When Things Go Off the Rails. And then I encountered this little old thing online called Hitori Kakurenbo, or one-man hide-and-seek. For those unfamiliar, this Japanese urban myth is about a ritual that involves taking a doll, placing your biological material inside it, think strands of hair, toenail clippings, a loosened tooth, you get the gist. And then you give it a name. I don't know, maybe Hezekiah or Jamal. I'm open to ideas. Once you've christened your doll, you place them in the living room, wait till 3 a.m., and then begin playing. The Creepypasta Wiki states that the narrative of the game involves a tag or hide-and-seek dynamic where the player and the doll switch roles as the seeker. Participants in these stories often describe an atmosphere of tension, using television static as a supposed indicator of spiritual presence or electromagnetic interference. Interestingly enough, Google has this ominous disclaimer that reads as follows. For your safety, it is recommended to treat such stories as fictional entertainment rather than actionable instructions. And yet there are a good handful of accounts on Reddit, TikTok, and YouTube discussing stories about people who have attempted the ritual, not including Japanese social media forums where the story originated from. Brother, for what? Chapter 5, The Risk Assessment. Okay, so let's conduct a formal review. Potential benefits of creating a cursed murder doll with your toenail clippings. Let's see, we've got excitement, adrenaline, interesting story to share over drinks, and that's it. I don't know, that feels like a very short list of pros. Meanwhile, on the side of potential risks, we have anxiety, burgeoning insomnia, persistent fear, amplified existential dread, and alleged paranormal consequences, obviously depending on your personal worldview. The ritual proposal appears to consist primarily of vibes, which for myself and concerned cryptid, straight to jail. And I think I finally identified what bothers me about these rituals. A roller coaster is gonna scare you for 90 seconds, a horror movie lasts for about 2 hours. And my problem is that, unlike a roller coaster, the ritual's ride doesn't end when you leave. The ritual in and of itself may take 30 minutes. The possible mental and or emotional repercussions have no projected half-life for us to refer to. And I don't know how to feel about that. Every flickering light, every strange noise, every shadow at the end of the hallway, the fear survives the event for an unknown amount of time, whether anything supernatural happened or not. Which brings us to the classic Bloody Mary ritual that has been a mainstay practice in most, if not all, elementary school bathrooms throughout the globe. You invoke the titular Mary 3 times in front of a mirror in the dark, sometimes within a specific time frame. And I have to ask, what are the success rates? Has anyone considered that? Anyone? Show of hands? Okay, let's imagine nothing happens. Congratulations, friend. You stared into a mirror and looked goofy. Moving on. Now let's imagine something does happen. Now what? What was phase 2? Where is the contingency planning? Why are there 12 pages explaining how to initiate contact and 0 pages explaining customer support? How did nobody consider that maybe the entity we invited might not want to leave later on? Chat, did anyone think about that? Chat, are you seeing this? Last on the docket is the elevator game, and somehow this manages to be even more concerning. While there are many versions discussed online, the general claim is that you can enter another world by using a very specific sequence of elevator movements at a specific hour. There's even guidelines on what kind of building you need to perform the ritual in, because you need a certain amount of floors for the ritual to work. Again, I'm not asking whether this is true. That is not the goal. I am asking why so many people seem eager to discover the answer firsthand. Yes, I get it. 2026 is a messy, messy mess. And the economy is legit out to get everyone. I get the desire to no clip out of this reality to find a different one, even if it's a freaky one. So here's my problem with this elevator ritual and every other ritual mentioned and not mentioned. Most traditions that take spirits seriously spend a tremendous amount of time discussing preparation, boundaries, permissions, protections, and most importantly, respect. Meanwhile, modern internet culture often approaches the unknown like it's the newest viral challenge. The entire thing is giving Logan Paul in Aokigahara. Chapter 6, Bespoke Psychological Hauntings. And this is where I arrived at a phase and at a phrase that I cannot improve upon because it's giving peak natural selection tomfoolery. Humanity has developed a remarkable talent for creating bespoke psychological hauntings in the form of corpse oils, cursed jewelry, Victorian porcelain dolls that have cemetery soil in them. It's not mass-produced anxiety. It's not generic dread. It's giving artisanal, handcrafted, small batch organic, locally sourced, custom-tailored fear. Sometimes with their own hair and blood included for personalization because we love personalizing things. And perhaps the most alarming discovery of all, there are marketplaces for said haunted objects. And I don't mean like in Harry Potter in Nocturne Alley with Borgin and Burkes. We have these mainstream markets like Facebook Marketplace, eBay, Poshmark, Etsy. Which means enough people looked at a potentially haunted Victorian doll and collectively decided, neato pedo, add to cart. I am no longer convinced humanity can be persuaded to get it together and think before causing themselves potential mental harm. It's almost an aesthetic at this point. Chapter 7, Conclusion. The more I study these rituals, the more I realize that ghost hunting may have less to do with the belief in the supernatural and more so with something deeply human. It's the desire to stand at a threshold, that desire to test boundaries, the desire to feel that the world is stranger than it already appears. And I understand the impulse. I really do. What I do not understand is the complete absence of risk management. As always, the Concerned Cryptid encourages curiosity, exploration, and lifelong learning. What we do not recommend is constructing personalized nightmare scenarios from craft supplies and your own personal biological samples. Thank you for your understanding. Situation ongoing. Incident report 001 closed. Thank you for hanging out with me. This has been Mom Chalant, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye!